Hey, what's up guys? It's Cypher from cypherpk.com, and today we're going to be looking over the PTS changes announced in the last Warriors Den for For Honor. This is basically the first iteration of tackling the defensive meta that For Honor has been struggling with. So we're going to go over every change, and keep in mind these are just going to the PTS, so none of it is actually finalized, but we'll get a good understanding of how the game will be played or look like with these changes in. And I'll eventually get on the PTS and do some in-game testing, but this is mainly an initial impression and thoughts about the changes that were announced. So let's start off from the top. We got chip damage, 18% on all attacks. So light, heavy, zone attacks will all have an 18% chip damage if blocked. Chip damage cannot kill an opponent. So everybody's been asking for more chip damage. Will it provide enough of a enough chip to where sitting there and blocking a bunch of attacks is no longer optimal? Will it change the way that people play? I'm pretty sure with 18% it will, because while 18% of 40 damage heavy attack is not a lot, it adds up throughout the fight. So if you're constantly taking that over and over and you're constantly blocking instead of parrying or dodging an attack, it will add up, and you'll feel it throughout the fight. Currently, the current chip damage is anywhere from like 2 to 10%, I believe, and now it's just 18% across the board, which is really good in my opinion. Chip damage cannot kill an opponent, so they don't want you to be able to be chipped to death, which is an interesting design choice, but I'm not sure how that actually plays out. But we will see. We will see. In my opinion, a lot of the turtling that For Honor suffers from is in the last bar of health, when people are down to the last bar, mainly because that last bar can regenerate, so you can gain your health back, and I feel like that last bar shouldn't regenerate, and that's when you're like one mistake away from dying, where you can really buckle down and turtle up. So chip not being able to kill on that last bar might be an issue, but we'll see how it plays out. Guard breaks. All attacks can be guard braked in the first 100 millisecond of the startup. So this is actually a really, really big change, and it's going to affect a lot of different characters in different ways. But basically, in the first 100 milliseconds of any attack startup, you can be guard broken, and you'll be vulnerable, so you can't counter guard break. That includes light attacks. Currently, it's almost impossible to guard break somebody who's attempting a light attack. I want to say it's impossible, but I'm pretty sure right as you input a light, you can be guard broken and not be able to counter guard break. But I haven't really done intensive testing with that. Although this will affect. So if you get guard broken in the first 100 milliseconds, now 100 milliseconds is a very short time period, but if you get guard broken right as you're initiating an attack, you can't counter guard break. So we'll see how that actually affects the gameplay. Now, one thing that really sticks out is Shigoki. Shigoki usually, when he sees a guard break coming, he'll follow back up with a light attack so that he can, prevent the opponent from taking off his hyper armor. Now, will this affect Shigoki? Will he not be able to follow up with a light attack, or will he have to react very, very quickly in order to follow up with a light attack? We will see. Parry. Parries no longer guarantee guard break and only give 600 millisecond frame advantage. Lights give the same punish as heavy parries. So whatever you get off of a heavy parry, you now get it off of a light parry. This does not include guard break. So now you cannot guard break after a parry. There's no guard breaking after getting parries. And whatever you get off of a heavy parry currently, you'll also get off of light parry. So no longer will you get like 80 damage punish with Centurion. You won't get the heavy attack into bleed with Peacekeeper. You won't get guard break into triple stab with Peacekeeper either. So this changes the punish game completely. So it's going to affect a lot of different characters. And some characters that get guaranteed attack off parries, like Lawbringer and Zerker, who gets heavies off of parries, this might make them very strong, or this might affect them in a negative way. The only way to really, really tell how this affects the game is to get on the PTS and test it, and that's something we're going to try to do later today. So this is a huge change. Although it makes me like a little worried in some matchups. Like when you parry a Peacekeeper's light attack, or when you parry a Peacekeeper's zone, only getting a little bit of damage back feels unrewarding, considering how difficult it can be to parry those attacks. Now, I do agree that parrying in this game is extremely easy for the most part. Across the board, it is very easy to perfect your parry, especially because apparently they're removing unlock tech and flicker, which will make parries more reliable because you're not going to be lied to by indicator, and you're not going to be lied to by unparryable attacks, apparently, if what they say is true, if the fixes are actually working as intended. So that will make parrying actually more reliable, more consistent. So I can see why this change makes a little more sense in that aspect. And it'll be interesting to see what punishes characters actually get and how this affects the overall gameplay. Because here's the thing. Let's say somebody's throwing a heavy attack at you. If you parry that heavy attack, maybe you get a light attack back in return. Maybe you don't get too much damage back. But what if you dodge that heavy attack and guard break your opponent during his recovery frames? Maybe dodging will be more useful in that regard. Instead of parrying attacks, maybe you'll be more willing to dodge attacks. And assassins will be more willing to deflect attacks. That's a big one. Assassins, like now with this change, deflecting an attack with an assassin actually grants you more than just parrying. So this changes a lot. Stamina. Blocking an attack stops stamina regen. Dodging stops stamina regen. We'll see how this actually plays out. It sounds pretty punishing. The thing about stamina is some characters are so good at draining your stamina, aka Centurion, Warlord, Shigoki. They're very, very good at draining your stamina. So this needs to be balanced around those characters, because not just are they changing the way your stamina stops after blocking and dodging, they're also changing the out of stamina state. Out of stamina dodges are 200 milliseconds longer. So you're more susceptible to being guard broken. And I really love this change, mainly because I hate Warlord and Peacekeepers. I hate them because they have the best out of stamina dodge recoveries in the game. Even Raider doesn't get his same dodge guard break potential when he's out of stamina. Like a Peacekeeper can be out of stamina. She can dodge and you can grab her while she's dodging, and she can still counter guard break most of the times. So this will prevent that from happening. Out of stamina dodges don't have any special properties like superior block. Blocking light attacks while out of stamina does not interrupt chains. You cannot parry while out of stamina. Now this one is a very, very questionable change. I do not think they should implement this. Not being able to parry. First of all, being out of stamina and attempting to parry is already very risky, because if your opponent feints or if you mess up the parry timing, you cannot feint your parry attempt, meaning you're going to be punished to the fullest extent for that mistake. The mind game needs to stay. The out of stamina parry mind game needs to stay. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I do not think they will keep this change in. Maybe they want to test it, but this change, I wholeheartedly agree, does not need to come in. Nobody is asking for you to remove the ability to parry while out of stamina. This should not go in. Getting hit by melee attacks while out of stamina does not do stamina damage. Melee attacks is like headbutt, shield bash, etc. It only pauses it. That way you're not infinitely out of stamina and constantly getting drained over and over and over again. So this is good stuff right here. Revenge. Revenge activation. The knockdown window cannot be interrupted by melee attacks. Interesting. Incoming melee attacks do not interrupt attack startups. Okay. Outgoing melee attacks do not knock down. So you don't get knockdowns with headbutt and whatnot anymore. Shield is increased to 70%. Static value, not percent based. So the shield is increased to 70 damage. Okay. So you get a 70 damage shield. Outgoing attacks cannot be parried. Again, this is another one that I do not like. This change right here, not being able to parry while out of stamina, not being able to parry people who are in revenge mode. I do not like those changes. I feel like that should not be the case. This stuff that they've already done over here, that's good enough in my opinion to make revenge a little more useful. But not being able to get parried while in revenge, I do not like that. I don't like when they change fundamental properties of the game when you're in certain states. Like when you're out of stamina. Like, I understand being slower while out of stamina, your dodging taking longer. I understand all of that. That makes sense. But not being able to parry, in my opinion, doesn't make sense. I don't think it's a good change. And then also revenge, not being able to be parried, also is not good for the game. I don't think changing the fundamentals aspects of combat is a good idea depending on what state you're in. Enhancing and dehancing the fundamentals is fine. When you make your dodge slower, less reliable, that's fine. But like not being able to parry or not being able to be parried, that's different. I think that does too much harm. Other changes. Flicker is gone. This is great news. I love consistency in my game. I love being able to know when an attack is coming from a specific direction, that it is coming from that direction, and I don't have to worry about fake indicators. That's great. Added anti-runaway mechanic. Player with the highest HP wins on tie. So I feel like this kind of addresses one of the problems I had last weekend. But we'll see. Like, what is this anti-runaway mechanic? What does that even mean? I haven't tested anything, but that's definitely something that needs to be looked at. And player with the highest HP wins. So this is a big change right here, but this needs to be accompanied with whatever this is properly. Because let's say some guy gets a health lead and starts running away from you, and you can't catch up to them because this mechanic isn't working as intended, and they just run the clock out, and you lose because you had a little bit less health. And is it highest HP percentage, or is it just highest HP? Like, let's say a Lawbringer has a lot of health versus a Shinobi who doesn't have that much health. Like, will the Shinobi automatically lose? Let's say the time runs out and they both took a little bit of damage. They both took the same amount of damage, but Lawbringer still has more health technically. So this needs to be looked at, and this needs to just, like, this is a big change that needs to be addressed, and hopefully we get to test it and see that it's implemented properly. So these are the changes coming in. Obviously, these are all in PTS, so they're going to be getting feedback from us, and hopefully they get feedback from the players who play this game. So overall, I think most of it is good. Some of it is questionable. Some of it definitely, like, these two changes don't need to come in. But more testing needs to be done to get a better idea. This is definitely going to change the game quite a bit, and a lot of relearning will be needed to really understand the game. This changes the meta completely changes it. So I really hope that, like, I'm not too sure, but I really hope that For Honor gets out of this, like, stuck phase it's in. I want For Honor to be a good game, because I've been wanting a game like For Honor for a very long time. Back when I had Oblivion on the Xbox 360, I said, hey, you know, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a multiplayer game where you can fight with swords and shields? And I know there's some games out there like that, but For Honor really just hit that sweet spot that I was looking for. And I want it to get back to a good spot. And I'm hoping these changes, you know, guide the game in the right direction. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment your opinions. I would love to have a discussion with you guys. More testing will be posted later today. Or not later today, but I'll be testing later today, and more testing will be posted later this week. Or whenever the PTS is live. I don't know if this is actually live yet. I haven't checked. It might not be live yet, but when it is, I'll be on it and I'll be testing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Cypher from cypherpika.com. Have a great day. If you want to see more content, whether it's Overwatch, For Honor, Elder Scrolls Online, subscribe to my channel. A lot more coming to you guys. Destiny 2 and Absolver coming next month as well. The Destiny PC beta is coming next month, and then Absolver is supposed to be coming out next month, so I'll be covering both those games as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.